Adinavasis were blessed once again to go on a tour visiting various temples in the south of India with Swamiji, learning and discovering the different and various dimensions of the architecture of temples in Sanatana Hindu Dharma.
Listen carefully. Handful of clay cannot be separated from the clay matter of the cosmos. The bones you have cannot be separated from the bone material of the cosmos. The body you have cannot be separated from the body material of the cosmos, Prakriti. The body matter of the cosmos is called Prakriti. Listen, the identity you feel about you, breathe in, breathe out, that as Mahasta Shiva's individual will. Understand? Remember, his will is only vibrating as your will. It is not meditation technique. It is powerful cognition. All meditation techniques are stupid. You don't get stupidity in Adi Kailash.
Jayaya Rudraya Neelakantaya Shambhave Amriteshaya Sharvaya Nithyanandaya Te Namaha Nithyanandaya Te Namaha Nithyanandaya Te Namaha.
The Nithyananda Peetham, Los Angeles Adinam, celebrated the weekend with Parani tradition. During festival, weddings and events, women's feet are decorated with Parani, made either with turmeric or alta, a special red liquid. Its application not only enhances the beauty of the feet, but also provides a cooling effect to the body. It symbolizes prosperity and fertility. His Holiness Paramahamsa Nithyananda said, "I want these traditions, place, festivals and ceremonies to be revived and celebrated in our temples all over the world." Mother's Day was also celebrated in the Nithyananda Toronto Sangha, where children made decorated mugs for their mothers. The Nithyananda Peetham Singapore Adinam conducted the weekend Gurukul, giving an opportunity to children to awaken the Guru Tattva in them by connecting to Swamiji.
I represent your innermost soul. But if you have a problem, physically when I am around, not able to feel that strongly connected and close, means still you need to do Purnatva with others.
Om Namah Shivaya Nithyanandam Nithyanandam Om Namah Shivaya.
The very education process in Indian tradition is awakening you. It is not just giving some words, ideas, concepts, theories, theologies. It is awakening you.
Nithyanandam, Nithyanandam, Om Namah Shivaya. Nithyanandam, Nithyanandam, Om Namah Shivaya. Nithyanandam, Nithyanandam. Om Namah Shivaya. Nithyanandam.
The first principle is integrity. It needs to be understood. The first level of integrity only is the thought current you are cherishing with you and others, treating it as life.
Upcoming programs: Inner Awakening, 21 Days to Rewrite Your Future, June 26th to July 16th. Nithyananda Yoga Teacher Training, June 27th to July 17th. Nitya Dhyana Yoga, May 23rd, 24th. Nitya Kriya Yoga, May 25th to 29th. Nithyanandam, May 30th to June 8th. Kalpataru Yoga, Manifest the Reality, every Sunday online in other Nithyananda centers worldwide. Akashic Reading, access past, present and future. Contact your local center to register. Offer your name carved on golden leaf for the Golden Sadashiva Murti. innerawakening.org/golden leaf. Achalamurti Seva, offer worship to the Ashtavatara. Sangha.nityananda.org/Achalamurti Seva. Mahasadashivoham, taking you to the next level of consciousness. June 27th to July 27th.
Nithyanandeshwara Mahasadashiva Samarambam Nithyanandeshwari Adishakti Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. I welcome you all with my love and respects. Listen, it's fresh, today's download, latest. Sadashiva revealed an important understanding about chemistry of guru-disciple relationship. He also showed me the beautiful verse from Agama where he talks about it. I'll explain the principle, then I'll give you the reference. You go and spend a little time studying the original verse and I'll give you the understand. Handful of clay can never be separated from all the clay exists in the cosmos. Bones you are having can never be separated from the bone material of the cosmos. Listen carefully. Handful of clay cannot be separated from the clay matter of the cosmos. The bones you have cannot be separated from the bone material of the cosmos. The body you have cannot be separated from the body material of the cosmos, Prakriti. The body matter of the cosmos is called Prakriti, nature.
the will you have, with which you torture yourself 24 hours, with self-doubt, self-hatred, self-denial, whether this is right, that is right, did I get justice, am I getting my share, or am I being cheated, the other person does not do that but gets this, I do this but I don't get, with all the drama. Actually it will be good to be beaten up by the right opponent, but it is so bad beating yourself down and destroying. Mostly, I can say 99.99%, you beat yourself and destroy. If you are really beaten up by the good opponent, you will become eternal like a Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Hiranyakasipu, Hiranyaksha. You will become eternal in the history. They have been beaten up by the right opponents. You are not going to become part of the history, don't worry. Because you are beating up yourself. Now listen to the truth. Even though you are using your will 24 hours willfully to beat up yourself, it cannot be separated from Sadashiva's will. Listen. Listen. Even if you throw tantrum, you can't be kicked out of the house. Even if you throw tantrum, you can't be kicked out of the house. Akbar can kick somebody out of his kingdom, but Sadashiva cannot kick anybody out of his kingdom. Listen, the identity you feel about you, breathe in, breathe out, that as Mahasadashiva's individual will. Understand? Remember, his will is only vibrating as your will. It is not meditation technique. It is powerful cognition. All meditation techniques are stupid. You don't get stupidity in Adi Kailash. We don't sell stupidity in Kailash. We may be ferocious with you, but we will never cheat you. I have kicked out this soft style cheating once for all from the Sangha long before. I have decided I will be right. Along with right, if I can be pleasant, great. But if that is not possible, right is the right is the right. If people are feeling pressured by my right, I will give them time to digest, but no question of soft pedaling cheating. I am not goody, feel good feeling, good guru. No. 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 It's all about right. It's all about right. People who decided to do right made their life pleasant. People who went after pleasant never got right. What is pleasant? Your logic getting convinced it's right. Who is your logic? Fundamentally your enemy. How he is going to convince? When he is going to be convinced? Once you are thoroughly, irreparably destroyed. Understand? Doing right. Doing right. It is all about right. People may blame I am ferocious, but no one can blame I am cheating. Yes, I am ferocious. What can be done? That is the way. That's the way it is. Actually, being soft and cheating you is very easy. You are so stupid. You fall for simple smile and simple ooh, ooh, ooh. You are such a stupid. Being ferocious to the right is honest job of the Guru. People who care for you will be ferocious. I am not Mama Guru. Aunties and uncles will always be sweet, pleasant, but only father and mother will be right. I am Ammayappan. Not auntie, uncle. Auntie, uncle will be very pleasant, because they are going to be spending time only with you for few days and few hours. They are not going to be responsible for you. They can be just pleasant and give you whatever you want. But only people who are responsible for you, father and mother, will be right. I am not Mama Guru. Listen. Listen the logic with which you beat yourself. I'll give you a simple understanding. Slow down coming to conclusions. If morning coffee is missing, I know my Rahu has changed, my Ketu has gone out, and my Buddha is standing upside down, and my Guru is turned back on me, and my Shadeshat has started. That is why coffee is not right. Stop coming to self-beating conclusions constantly. Reduce the speed of being stupid. No, really. Most of you don't need much big problems. Coffee is not good, is enough. You will call, I think my Surya has gone out, my Chandra is turning upside down, my Rahu is standing bush, 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 my Ketu is coming near me, my Shani went to the cow and spoiled the milk. My Shukra entered my wife's mind and stopped the sugar level. See, mark this one line. Stop coming to stupid conclusions. Reduce the speed of coming to stupid conclusions. Listen. All self-beating conclusions of logic is Vega, and powerful cognitions are Viveka. That's all. All self-destructive cognitions. I am not able to get up in the morning for yoga. I think my Rahu is standing in front of me. Just tell your friend to take a can and beat you. No, tell him, till I get into Shivastamba, go on be beating me. Then all your Rahu, Ketu, everything will be cleared. Shadeshat, Ashtama, all Shani. No Shani can stop your growth. Self-destructive conclusions, beating yourself by yourself. Reduce the speed of it. Reduce the speed of stupidity. You can reduce. It is not mandatory to be stupid on the planet Earth. Even though due to your stupidity you assumed the human body and came to planet Earth, it is not mandatory you have to continue to be stupid to be in the planet Earth. The self-beating pattern, antidote for that is my will with which I am creating hell for me cannot be separated from Sadashiva's will. So let me breathe his will into my will. And such grand will, in front of his will, this will cannot play big game. Breathe in and breathe out the individuality of Parashiva. You will see your will just withers away into his will. It is not technique. No, it is powerful cognition. Understand? Yes. How can my will be separate from his will? No. It cannot be. He is a Yagabhoga Swarupi. He is the only man alive in the cosmos. Everyone else is Prakriti, matter. He is the only Purusha. He is the only Swayam Prakasa. Nothing else can be Swayam Prakasa. Nothing else can be independently illumined. No. Then if something is alive in me, that is he. Listen to today's satsang again and again. Whenever you come to this powerful cognition, if something is alive in me, it is he. He is alive. Then you will stop doing this self-beating exercise. That is what Manikavasagar says beautifully. Vehangeduttanda vendan adivelga. Vendan means Lord. Vehangeduttanda vendan adivelga. Pirapparukkum vinjagandran peigazhalgal velga. Purattarku seyonran poongazhalgal velga. Karangu vivar ulmagizhum kongazhalgal velga. It's a beautiful verse in Tamil on Mahadeva, Sadashiva. If you are new to Sangha, I want to tell you, when I use the word Shiva, Sadashiva, Mahadeva, Mahasadashiva, all mean one and the same. The Parashiva, the ultimate. Mahadeva, the ultimate source of everything. The Parabrahma, the Paramborul, the Para. The speed with which you beat yourself up, reduce it. It is not necessary that you need to be stupid. That is not prerequisite to be on the planet Earth. In Kailasa you can't be stupid. You should not be. It's actually anti-requirement. It's very clear, no? You just need to be ferocious with yourself. You just need to be ferocious with yourself. Understand, even this, if you are just ferocious with yourself, you will realize, if something is alive in me, that is he. It can be realized, this powerful cognition can be realized not by, no, but by ferociousness. Yes. If something is alive in me, it is the only Purusha, Mahadeva. Everything else is Prakriti, matter. Parama Purusha, Paramadama, only he is alive. If something is alive in you, that is he. If still the chemistry of converting blood into blood, air into prana, breathing into life happening in you, then that life is he. Remember, he is living through you. His will is the source of your will. It is not something to be meditated upon. Oh, my will, his will, mama sankalpam, shiva sankalpam. No. It is ferociously to be manifested. Yes. Only his will is my will. Then I cannot beat myself with my will. No. If his will is my will, that will is just my staff, ruling staff, Sengol. I cannot use that as a Todapakate and beat myself. No. If you are using your will and putting yourself down and destroying yourself, self-sabotaging, then you are using your will only as your Todapakate. No. Todapakates are different. Sengol is different. You cannot destroy yourself. Essence of today's satsang, SDHD is a shit. His will is your will is a hit. Don't practice this, ferociously manifest it. All practicing is a shit. Postponing it without ferociously hugging the truth. All technique, all ideas I will practice is nothing but when you understand something without hugging it ferociously, without entering into that fire ferociously, saying, tomorrow I will touch you, you just sleep now, you leave me, let me be as I am, let you be as you are. Slowly, 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 I will heat my butt in you. Then once I am slowly comfortable, I will put my finger in you. Then I will stretch my hand in you. No. When you know this is the truth, enter into that fire. When you know his will is your will, ferociously manifest it. The first step of manifesting is you will not use your will anymore to beat yourself. No self-sabotaging, no self-destruction, no powerlessness, no self-destruction. His will is my will means it's a Sengol, ruling staff he has given me. I have to manifest the powerfulness, not the Todapakate he has given me to beat myself. No. His will is my will. So using his will, I will not do the self-destruction anymore. I will only manifest he as me ferociously is the essence of today's satsang. Watch today's satsang, even though it is short, few more times. Make this powerful cognition ferociously as a realization in you. That's a chemistry of Guru-disciple relationship. No self-sabotage, no self-destruction, no todapakate. Todapakate is the old broomstick used to wash the toilets in the village where the basins are not made in decent material like a porcelain. I think enough vivid description is given. And if you are from Indian village, by now you can even have the smell. I have given you such detailed description. You can even smell it by now. I think that's all for now. I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Shuddhatvaita Saivam Maha Sadashivoham, the eternal bliss, Nithyananda. Thank you. Be blissful.
Nithyanandam. All the inner awakening participants, please proceed for your dinner, and your bus will be leaving from here by 10:30. Okay, please proceed for your dinner.